In our culture, many times animals are used to demonstrate our character or to demonstrate how a person perceives another person. So, for example, one of my favorite foods I love to eat is chicken. And there's so many positive things about chickens, and chickens are one of the backbone animals of society. But if someone was to call you a chicken, for the most part, that's not a compliment. That's not something that you feel good about. It's really hard to kind of praise somebody by using the word chicken, even though it can be done. Because like you dress as good as fried chicken. Because if I like fried chicken, that might be a compliment. But for the most part, to be called a chicken is not a good thing. And the reason why is that people, they create characteristics about you using that animal, like a snake. When you think about all of the images of snakes throughout the Bible, and then a person calls you a snake, or you hear a person that's being called the name snake, it it creates and conjures all kinds of thoughts, all kinds of feelings that can be very, very negative, because we have gotten to a place in society, especially today, we don't really have to say much. You can just bring up the name of an animal and it puts up an icon in front of a person. And when you press that icon, there's so many things behind it. There's so many different meanings behind it. And depending upon the people who are talking with each other, you get a greater understanding of what that animal or what that name means. Like, for example, if you're dealing with like two wrestlers and they're very strong guys, and one guy taps another guy and says, "Man, you're a stallion." That could be perceived as a compliment, because one strong guy is saying to another strong guy, "Man, you're strong," or "You're a stallion." And we can just use one word, animal words, that have such big meanings. And sometimes you need to understand the context a little bit more. Or sometimes there's some animals that are better known in certain areas than other areas. Like, for example, I don't know if there's much thought to it, and there may be, but if I was to call somebody a mongoose, I don't know like what the feeling that comes out of that, right? But people who are around a lot of mongooses, they may have a meaning greater than the meaning that I'm aware of. Like, for example, in Canada, if someone's to say that, "Man, you're a moose," it could mean, because moose are huge, they're strong animals, they're revered animals. It could mean that, "Man, you're strong, you're revered, you're important." But it's something that a lot of people won't understand outside of Canada, who aren't exposed to mooses. The same thing with a mongoose. If you're exposed to a lot of mongooses, and you say, you're like a mongoose or whatever, mongooses oftentimes will come and steal stuff from your house. So that could be like a thief. Or mongooses also help to, you know, um, basically keep at bay a lot of critters. So you can also look at them as a help. So I don't know exactly what the imagery would be of a mongoose, say like in Jamaica, or if there even is an imagery. But a lot of the other animals that we talked about, these are animals that are like around the world. They're international, and for the most part, many of the concepts that we've shared, they're universal. Not all of them, because there's some countries that have different meanings. But for the most part, like the word cockroach, that's universal. If someone calls you a cockroach, that's generally not a good thing. And if I was to use a snake, for example, a snake in our culture is very similar to a snake in the Bible, but there are some differences. So when I think about a snake from culture, a snake is a person who you can't trust. A snake is a person that will bite you in the back. A snake is a person that will betray you, a person that will cheat you, a person that only thinks about themselves. Like that is like the concept of a snake. If you look at it from a biblical perspective, there's a lot of similarities, but to make it simple from a biblical perspective, a snake is a person who is aligned with or who is controlled by Satan, which is very similar in meaning, but there is a difference. So from a culture perspective, a person who's a snake, there's something wrong with their character. And from a biblical perspective, a person who is defined or seen as a snake, they are direct descendants or direct um, workers of the enemy. So even though culture and Bible are similar, have similar meaning, they kind of have a different understanding or a different idea. So ultimately, when we say snake in the world, people have a clear understanding of what kind of character that person has, or they at least have a bias of what kind of character that person will have, but they may not necessarily have a biblical understanding of what that means. So today,
If you enjoyed this video and would like to support our channel, please visit us at www.nevillesolomon.com and feel free to buy our newest book, 5 Benefits of Worship, to support our channel. Thank you so much, and God bless.